for our monthly real estate table talk with the McIlwain Group. We have these sessions every second Saturday of the month. We also record these sessions, so if you happen to miss it or if you want to replay the session, we have a YouTube channel where you can actually watch those videos as well. So with that, let's do a quick introduction of the team, because I don't know if we had introduced our new members of the team, because our team has expanded, which is great. We are excited about that. So I'll have Miss Sheila, you go ahead and introduce yourself real quick.
Hi, I'm Sheila Contee, and I'm so excited to be a part of the McIlwain Group.
Welcome.
I know you will
Sheila.
too.
Yeah, to have you. And Miss Vonley.
Hello, everybody. Good morning. I am Vonley Jackson with the McIlwain Group of Samson Properties. It's wonderful to be here.
All right.
All right.
Awesome. Yep.
Hello, this is Carleton Myers, and I'm happy to be with the McIlwain Group as well. So,
Fantastic, Carleton.
I am Janell McIlwain. I am the real estate checklist. I am the team lead for our group, and I'm so excited that we have this great group here that is ready to serve our community and to serve you, and I thank you all for being a spectacular move that we're about to take.
Love it. Miss Linda.
My name is Linda Hurd, and I am happy to be a part of the McIlwain Group.
Welcome.
And I am Dawn Ferguson, licensed DC, Maryland, and Virginia. And I'm happy to be a part of the McIlwain Group also.
Sorry. And then finally, my name is Tia. I'm also a member of the McIlwain Group, and just so excited that we have a fantastic team that's here and waiting to be of service. So we have a lot of experience here on the team. Folks are licensed in multiple states in the DMV area, so we are able and ready and willing to help you.
And we also remember something, not only do we do residential sales, we do commercial, we do leasing, and we do investing.
So hopefully you heard that from Janell. There's residential, we do, as she mentioned, contract, commercial accounts, investments, and did I miss one? And leasing. Okay, all right, so we do it all.
All service.
All service. So today's session, we're kind of focusing on the buyer, if you will. And so there's going to be pretty much three topics that we're going to be kind of having this roundtable discussion today. And then, of course, any guests who are on the line, please feel free to ask any questions at any point, because we definitely want it to be interactive and make sure that you're getting what you need from the session as well. So what we're going to focus on is what's going on in the market. We're going to talk about why it's a good time to buy and what you can do to get yourself in position to buy. So as we kind of step back to what's going on in the market, the current real estate market, it really is changing. And so it really, at this time, makes it easier for some home buyers. And in other scenarios, sometimes it could be a little bit harder for others, depending on where you are and how you're preparing yourself and positioning yourself for a home. So when I think about some of the main factors that you really should consider, especially in this current market, because the market changes the market was different 6 months ago than what it is today, right? Yes. So I would say some of the things to really consider as people are focusing on, is interest rates. I mean, it is what it is. We're not going to, act like it's not happening, but interest rates are, going up. And so the reason for that is to help combat inflation. I mean, that's just in a nutshell what it's supposed to do. So when we think about home prices right now in this market, you know what, home prices are still going to continue to rise, but honestly, it's not going to be, it's going to be at a slow pace. So it's not like it's going to be this huge jump. And we're not going to have that craziness. We're not in a market where we had that frenzy like we did the past year, even maybe in the year before. So yes, Homes are going to probably be a little bit higher, but again, it's just going to be a slow increase. And again, we have to think about what's happening in the economy and how we're trying to combat inflation, to be truthful.
Well, you know, one thing that's good, Tia, that when the interest rates rise like that, the lenders they get pretty anxious and they want more people to borrow money. So even though the rates are higher, we're actually getting more money. People have more money to buy homes. So you're coming out of pocket with less.
Love that.
So
Yeah.
yes, the houses are more. Yes, the interest rate is more, but your out of pocket a lot of times is less. And then a lot of people who were in that crazy market, they were buying houses they're not happy with.
Mhm.
This is your biggest purchase you'll ever make. The last thing you want to do is be unhappy with that purchase and overpay. So now you can't even get out of it.
Right.
So you've paid 10, 15,000 above what this house was worth. You can't get out of it. You're stuck. And this is your biggest purchase you'll ever make.
Absolutely.
So, you know, if there's more money, this is actually a better time to buy than it was then.
But what I find out is that when, like I've been in this business for a long time, and I've been through the ups of the real estate business and the downs of the real estate business. And so what happens is this is just a cycle that always occurs. It's a bet. It's going to go up, it's going to go down. But what happens is that lenders get more creative with their packages.
Mhm.
So what happens is, for example, they come up with different financing strategies that help buyers to get into the properties. Now, we as real estate professionals, we try to help them make the best choice, because what's happening is we want to make sure that, like you said before, people were in that frenzy. And so what they did was they bought houses and now they're not even happy with it. They don't pay it over, they can't get out of it underwater. But what's happening now is the market is stabilizing, and you have your serious buyers that are out here now. Before, everybody was trying to get a house.
Absolutely.
Also, what's happening is that homes are staying on the market a little bit longer. So last month, I think it was 42 days compared to like maybe 9 or 10 days before.
Yeah.
So now what's happening is our sellers are also getting more realistic about the pricing of their home.
Absolutely.
Because before they were able to price a home at some ridiculous price, and then somebody, oh, I want this, it was just like a bidding war. But now they're getting more realistic, understanding that the market that we were in a few months ago is not this market. So you have to be wise when you make the prices of your homes, because the bottom line is this, you know, people say, I don't want to reduce the price of my home. Well, every time you make a mortgage payment, each month you're reducing the price of your home, bottom line. So you have to be realistic in your expectation about what your home is going to get. Buyers need to be a little bit more realistic in what they're willing to offer, because what happens is, you know, they come in and they, well, I'm gonna try to underbid, I'm gonna try to get a deal, I'm gonna try to do this. And that's not the market right now.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You know, okay.
Well, you know, Janelle, with that also, I have found with me and some of my clients that some of those homes that have been sitting on the market, the sellers are willing to offer some help towards closing costs.
Right.
Which in the past they did not, but you
Yeah.
know, the homes are sitting longer. So yes, sellers are definitely offering help towards your closing costs.
And then think
Bring the
about,
buyers.
have they priced it accordingly the first time?
Exactly.
Right.
They may not
Had
have
had to
to.
do it, exactly.
And I was going to touch on that point, is that it's very important who you choose as a realtor to price your house. And I know at least 2 of us here are pricing specialists. And it's very important to price your house sells if it has the right condition
Pricing conditions.
and the right price, your house will sell. Very important, because like Janelle said, each mortgage payment you're making while that house is sitting there, you're reducing the price of the house. So you don't have to you don't have to offer closing, but that $2,500.
Right.
You already know.
You already know that.
$2,500.
Absolutely.
But it's very important to pick the right person with the right experience who can price that house where it should be. Especially with the market changing over the last 6 months, you
Yeah.
can't look at comps from 6 months ago.
Yeah.
They're not going to equal what's going on today.
And the good thing about it is, even on the buyer's side, it's important that we educate the buyer so that they don't enter into these agreements. Because
Yes.
once you know, we don't want you to lose your earnest money deposit. You know, we educate the buyer to actually sit down and understand what you're trying to sign up for. So that, you know, before we even write the contract, we want to know from the lender, okay, what are your mortgage payments going to be, and are you comfortable with them? And a lot of times if people understand, well, Prince George's County, Charles County, St. Mary's County, they have different taxes. So you
Yeah.
can buy the same home and have a different mortgage payment depending on where you go.
Absolutely.
So, there's a two folks, we educate our buyers to make sure that they're comfortable, because the last thing we want to do is for you to purchase a home. And you come tell us 6 months later, well, I'm house poor, I can't do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's a lot of great feedback and information to share with our potential buyers and sellers so that you all can really make the best decision for you. And that's the fantastic thing about having a licensed realtor who can help you through that process. And our team, as I mentioned before, we're definitely able and willing to do that with you. So now I guess our discussion could kind of transition into, why is it a good time to buy in this market? Is there anyone who has any particular thoughts on that one they want to start out with or share with?
Well, I mean, it's definitely a different market post-COVID. I mean, during the height of the pandemic, we all saw it. People were overpricing their homes, people were overbidding on their homes. And to Dawn's point, a lot of those buyers right now are not happy with their homes. Now, of course, when you see it, you're just, oh my God, I love this and I love this. And yes, I want to put that offer in. But when you're up against 20, 30, 40, sometimes 60 offers, especially at the height of COVID, now you're like, okay, well, I love this home, but how much more am I willing to come out of my wallet, my piggy bank, in order to purchase? Now, as Janelle said, the market is evening out. So with the market being even, not entirely even, but evening out, sellers are pricing more realistically and buyers are able to get help with purchasing that home that they want. Honestly, that's the most important part. And I think a lot of people mistake what we as realtors do. We guide not only the buyer, but the seller in the transaction. We are the liaison. We help facilitate this because ultimately the seller wants to sell, the buyer wants to buy. We want you to make that decision. It's the biggest decision of your life. So we want to help you and make sure that you're well informed on what it is that you're getting ready to do. So yes, we're there. We're at the home inspection. We're at the appraisal. We're touring with you. We're showing you that no home is perfect, but is this home perfect for you?
A key thing that Vonnie said is that we guide you. We don't make the decision for you.
Absolutely.
Our job is to educate you so that you have the best information so that you can make the best make the best decision for your situation. So our job is to guide, it's not to make that decision.
And sometimes our job is to rein you in.
Yeah.
How about that?
Because one thing that we do when we sit down with you, we have you tell us what you must have.
Yes.
I must have a basement. I must have a large backyard. And then we go to, okay, it's nice to have, I don't necessarily have. And sometimes when you see things, oh my gosh, cathedral ceilings and a 5th bedroom. Well, hold up on your list. Sometimes we have to pull you back. It's looking at the different houses and seeing all the stuff, but we do have to remind you and keep you on track of why you started this, what you're looking for, what your goals are for your family that you relay to us, and stay within your budget. So yeah, that becomes important. Our role is very large, even navigating paperwork. People don't realize you'll get in a situation where it's a for sale by owner, or even someone who's like, okay, use my realtor, my listing realtor can take care of both sides of this transaction. Would you allow, if you were in a car accident, would you allow the person you were involved in an accident, would you allow their attorney to help you?
Good analogy.
So think about that on the real estate side of it. You definitely need to have representation.
New construction.
Yeah, new construction, great, perfect example. Yes, that person in the home site, their expertise is what they're doing. You definitely need to have representation on your side. You're not an interior designer. You could go into, or an architect, you can go looking at a floor plan and have no idea what this floor plan has, what it means. You could look at this and see walls and not realize you're seeing walls in between rooms.
Okay, so we have a question from Donna.
Yep. Donna.
Donna, raise your hand.
Good morning, everyone.
Good
So,
morning.
I'm glad that I'm able to come on here and get some information. Y'all have some good information. So you kind of sparked a question in my head. Oh, I'm sorry. I just saw my coworker. I'm sorry, because I'm just like trying to get this information out there. But anyway, so I have a question. Me and my husband, we've had a discussion, and I'm like, okay, now get what we really want. But he's like, I want what I want. And so, just for example, if we qualify for 200,000 and the house we see is 150,000, but needs some work, can we use the balance, or how do we get money to fix up a home? You know, 'cause I know we got to meet somewhere. So that thought process I've been kind of struggling with, and you know, for us to try to get at a median on that.
You have to get a 2 or 3 rehab loan, and what will happen is there's a lot of different lenders that we have that specialize in that. And what they'll do is they'll go out and get contractors and make it so that you're able to purchase the home with the repair cost in it. So it's not like you can get a loan for, say, you're qualified for 200,000. You say, well, I'll just get a home for 150 and I get the other 50. It doesn't work like that. But there are rehab loans that you can get for properties. Depending on what your debt to income ratio is, depending on what the value of the repairs are going to be within the home, it's going to determine whether or not it's going to be a good fit. It depends. Some people don't mind doing repairs on homes. They don't have a problem with that. And some people like, no, I just want to go home, just move in and put my, feet down, whatever. So what you have to do is you have to compare, what is going to be my price for my mortgage payment that I'm going to do with a 2 or 3K rehab loan in comparison to if I bought a house and say it's 200,000, what's going to be the difference in my mortgage payment? And then I make a decision on which is the better product for you. A lot of people purchase homes because they have friends and relatives, and they know how to do the work themselves, so they don't really care about it. But then also remember that depending on how much work has to be done to the home, it determines what kind of financing will be available for the home. So if there's certain things that are messed up within the home that it's not going to pass FHA, then what's going to happen is you may have to rethink your strategy. But it's really like a lender, we can get you in contact with a lender that can see if they can structure you a product that meets your needs. But what I would say the big thing is to compare what's the difference between if I did a 2 or 3K rehab loan, or if I just went on and got, instead of 150, I got a $200,000 mortgage. And look at the different interest rates, because one interest rate may be a little bit higher than in the other one. And in the long run, it may have made sense to just get a home that you could have moved into. Anybody else? No, makes sense.
Well, I think we have to keep in mind too, the time frame as well, that goes along with the rehab. And then also in the comparison of the home that you want versus the home that might be what you're thinking is a good option to rehab, keep in mind too that you can remodel your home over time. You can bite off small projects and do things. You might, this year, what might be in a shaker style cabinets, and you might love that kitchen that has the shaker style cabinets, but then in 5-10 years, you might want to change that out. You have to be realistic and know, okay, well, can I live with this? And what are my plans for down the road for this home? I can almost guarantee you that no home that has withstood 30 years looked the same from when you bought it, from when it was originally built. So just keep that in mind.
Now, I agree with Von Lee. So when you're looking for your must-haves and things like that, you're looking things structural. You must have a basement. Yeah, it's hard to add a basement. You can't add a basement. But you want to have a kitchen with stainless appliances and white cabinets. You can do that. You can do that. Structural thing, a deck. You can add a deck on. But if you want a house with a backyard and this has no backyard, you can't do that. If you want something that, think structural things. We're all going to have our stuff that we want. But like Dolly said, there are some things that you can do a project a year, or when taxes come back, or, you have some sort of windfall and you can make those things happen. The structural things, those are going to be the really important things that if you must have those, we need to know those up front.
And the thing about it is that there's your wants and then there's your needs.
Mhm.
It's okay for them to change,
Mhm.
okay? But understand, our job is to make sure that when we take you to a home, that we bring up, like I always say, I'm the negative man, okay? Like everybody's looking at all of the cute pictures and stuff like that. I'm looking to see if there's structural cracks. I'm looking to see if there's any water penetration. I'm looking to see if there's any stuff in the ceilings. Your wants can change. Your wants and your needs can change. Our job is to say, okay, you said that you wanted to have 3 bedrooms. This house that you have is only 2 bedrooms. Is that something you can make work? What we don't want to do is enter into the contract and then all of a sudden, because what happens is it's excitement. When you're looking for a new house, it's exciting, especially if you find a house that really has a lot of things that you like. Sometimes the things that you say you need, you overlook.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you're so like, okay, this kitchen has a double oven. And then next thing you know, you put a contract on a home and you're realizing, you know what, we really do need that third bedroom. We got a lot of relatives coming over. Well, like you say, structural things are hard. We can't put another bedroom in there. But cosmetic things are stuff that, down the line, I might not be able to get the granite countertops, but I can do that later.
So I guess part of that is what you hear folks saying is that you got to understand, okay, what is considered really kind of upgrades to a house versus true remodeling in the sense of adding additional rooms or doing things like putting in maybe say a handicap type of ramps or things that are needed for family members. So just keep in mind that there's things that you can do from an upgrade standpoint once you get in, which is a lot of what Bonley was talking about. And then what Dawn and Janelle were talking about is a lot of that, making sure structurally the house is what it is that you really want. Because you don't want to go, a lot of people say you don't want to go into a house and be house poor. That is the worst feeling. Worst feeling.
Because the mortgage is going to go up every year
Mhm.
because your taxes go up every year.
Right.
Yeah.
So remember, if you're house poor now and next year you're not making no more, you're gonna be house poorer.
Right.
If that's a word.
And one thing that I appreciate from the 06, when all this stuff happened in 2008, that is the one thing that they made sure of, your debt to income ratio. So what they did is make sure that you can afford your house. So sometimes the guidelines are a little stricter now. That's why we'd like you to go to a lender, because say you're paying $3,000 a month in rent and you're thinking in your mind, I can afford $3,000 if I'm paying in rent. But by the time the lender looks at your bills, your income, things like that, he may say you can afford $2,500, and you're thinking I pay $3,000. They're going to make sure that you can afford your house. So we like you to go to a lender and get that number so you can purchase a house for $350, and we will talk with you about your budget, what you can get within your budget, where you are, and then we can put your list together on what your needs and wants are. Because if your budget is say $200,000 and you want a 3-bedroom house, single family, we're going to have to
Make some
have
adjustments.
a coming to Jesus moment and just let you know, if you're in the 200,000 range, you can get a condo. And you can't get every condo. So, I mean, once you have that budget, after you talk to a lender, then we can kind of come together and work on a list together, a realistic list of what you can get and what your lender says that you can afford, because the last thing we want for you to do is to be unhappy.
And also remember that, and to your point, it's just where we help you make informed decisions. When you're renting, you are already paying somebody's mortgage. You're just not paying your own.
Absolutely.
And also remember that renting is different than paying a mortgage also, because there's other things that are attached to it.
Right.
So you may be paying $3,000 on rent or $2,500 or whatever. But remember, now when you're talking about purchasing the home, it's the price of the home, the principal, then the interest, then you have your taxes, you have your insurance. So the other things that will go, along with the mortgage of your home. Like, okay, certain things that you may be able to negotiate. Insurance, you may be able to negotiate. The property taxes, you can't negotiate.
No, you can't.
And then what you need to do is, like we'll do, is that we'll look and see, okay, so what does it look like? Because remember, your taxes go up every year. What does it look like your taxes are gonna be? Okay, they pay this much, year before last, they pay this much, and they pay this much. So it looks like it's averaging this amount every year that is going up, so that you can put that in budget. And also say, for example, even with your home, make sure now is the time, if you haven't already, to start that little emergency fund. Because another difference between renting and buying. When you're renting and something goes wrong, for the most part, you call the landlord and have the landlord fix it. When you are purchasing it as your own, guess who gets to do it? And understand me, with a house, I don't care if it's a brand new house. There's always going to be something.
Always.
So that is why we put a little emergency to the side. And like I say, and then every month we need to make sure that we're adding to it, because we never know what's gonna, my air conditioner, I had to get that fixed yesterday. That was $525. So there's always something. Seasons change, air conditioning systems. There's a lot to it, but it's not something, because you can get like a home warranty.
Yeah.
But remember, that has a deductible too.
Yes.
So I just want to just take a quick pause. Donna, I don't want to make sure we're not overloading you with information. Did you get what you needed? Okay. Is there anything that needed clarity?
No, I think y'all, it's not too much information.
Okay,
But
I just want to
I
make
got
sure.
it.
Okay.
Yeah,
we can-
because I think,
Yeah.
I think with me, I understand that we can do upgrades, but I think with my husband, it's just like, it's a picture perfect view for him. And it's like, no, it may not be that way. So that's where we.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that, because people expect to have the perfect home. And it's not out there. Let's just be realistic. It's not, because things are going to happen. There may be a situation where, you're not going to have all those things that you really want to have in that home. So now you got to figure out what Janell talked about, those needs versus those wants or desires become important to you. So you got to figure out what you're willing to give up. So I think that you're kind of spot on when you're talking about that perfect house. It's really not out there, even whether it's new construction or if it's a resale. So being realistic about what you want and what you're willing to spend is going to help you in the long run.
And we can guide you to the road of being realistic.
Yeah.
We can definitely guide you there.
What we can do with your husband too, if we sat down with you two, we could actually pull up houses where you're approved so he can see what's in that price range. So if he says, I have to have this, this, and this, well, we can actually pull up examples of what's out there in that price and the kind of things that he wants.
And there may be
And
some
then
programs you may qualify for.
There
Yeah.
absolutely may be some programs.
So Donna, what we'll do is, we'll get with Carleton, so that, the list of Carleton can give to you, of the different down payment system program lenders that we know, and get you qualified. And see how, see where you and John fit in the puzzle, and then we can always go from there.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any
We'll
other
see.
questions?
Okay, let's move
Okay.
on.
All right. So, and then our final portion of this session today talks about, what can you do to better position yourself to buy. So, so this is the thing with that. You really need to understand. I think, Donna, you kind of hit on it when you were describing the situation with you and your husband about what you're looking for. Understanding what you want when you're looking to buy a home is important. Like, if I can get it out, because it is a major decision, and you don't want to regret that decision. So really understanding why am I buying a home? What are the reasons that I'm doing this? And it could be anything, whatever that thing is to you, it's important to you. I would also say, make sure that you check your credit score. What you get every 12 months, get it pulled free. You can check your credit score every 12 months free.
And don't do all three at one time.
Okay, she's saying don't do all three at one time.
Don't
So-
use Credit Karma.
No,
Okay.
there's a free credit,
Free credit support.
freecreditreport.com. It's online. It'll allow you to access all three of them. The reason why we say don't do them all at one time is because We're gonna pull up one and we're gonna see what that one says. And the reason why we're doing it is because we want to look at it for accuracy. We want to make sure everything on that report is true yours. If it's something that needs to be disputed, we're not gonna do it online. We're gonna have to do it written form, go old school, because they have to respond to you within a certain amount of time. The reason why we're only gonna do one at a time is because if you see some things on your credit report that need to be addressing, what we do is we go work on getting it addressed, and then we pull up another one 3 months later to see if it has been addressed and has been approved. If you pull them all at one time, then what happens is you can't pull free ones again for another 12 months. So what we're doing is, for example, you may talk to someone who says that these are certain things that you need to do to improve your credit. If you pull them all at one time, you're not going to know how to monitor it. So we do one every 3 months. The first one, 3 months, look at it, then pull another credit report. And then after that, we pull another one, which makes it easier. Also, like Tia said, you need to know what your credit score is, because you can't improve what you don't know. And life happens, and we all hit bumps and bruises. But what we try to do is we just try to figure out where we are so that we know where we need to go.
But don't contact a credit repair place.
Right.
Whatever you do, kind of
Mhm.
stay away from the credit repair. Once you're to that point, we'll get you in touch with a lender, and the lender can tell you what you need to do on your credit. You could have a collections that's 5 years old. Yes, it shows up as a collection. Credit Karma says if you pay this is going to take your score up 23 points. But you touching that a lot of times now brings it to the forefront. The
Reactivates.
lender could probably care less about that hospital bill that you didn't pay 5 years ago. So don't start sometimes you'll get these places that'll say, pay us $100 a month. You can do it yourself.
And certain debt at a certain point, we need to have a lender speak more on this, but a certain debt isn't even called a debt. So if it's under a certain amount,
Mhm.
and then like you said, if you touch it, you could reactivate it.
Mhm.
You could have something that is getting ready to drop off your credit report because it's six years and 11 months, and you decide you're gonna make payments on it.
Or
And next thing you know-
dispute it.
Yeah, and next thing you know, all of a sudden now, the last 6 years is gonna come up showing that you're delinquent. And now you have messed up the whole process where you could have just waited for that last month,
Yeah.
disputed it, had it kicked off and moved on.
And I understand too that different lenders do have different programs for you. Different lenders have different abilities to tailor a program that will fit your needs. A local lender may not have some of the same programs that maybe your bank might have, and your bank may not have the ability to actually finance a certain project that you're looking for, like a local lender can. Do understand that you can go and shop around different interest rates with different lenders. You can actually have up to 4 lenders pull your credit in a 30-day time frame without it affecting your credit so bad.
Yeah, it may be more than 4 now.
Yeah.
I think it's more than 4 now.
Yeah,
But
so
the
it's not
bottom
gonna
line-
hurt
yeah.
your interest rate if you shop around to see what the best lender for your situation can do and how they can tailor something for you.
And then also what I always tell people is talk to the lender first before you even allow them to pull your credit report, because you need to make sure that you're gonna have a good report.
Right.
Because if you're not gonna have a good report with a lender, and there's no need to have them pull my credit if I can't even get in contact with them. So talk to the lenders, feel comfortable. We have lots of lenders that you can talk to. So even before they pull your credit, make sure that you don't even like to deal with them.
And the other thing too, I find that a lot of people, when their real estate agent recommends a lender to them, they're kind of afraid to talk to their lender. Normally they might reach out to their realtor and say, hey, can you talk to the lender and see if we can do X, Y, and Z on this house? The lender, just like us, we are working with you to make sure that you are getting into your new home. Don't be afraid to speak to them. Ultimately, we all have the same goal, is to get you in your house. So any question that you have is not a dumb question, and feel free to ask it at any point of the day.
And if you feel like you can't talk to the lender with your question, maybe it's not your lender.
Right.
I'm sorry.
So,
Tia,
no, I mean, I'm just here. So, sorry, go ahead. Go ahead, Sheila.
Okay. Would it be safe to say, I have a client that wants to wait till the interest rate changes? But would it be safe to say if weight broke the wagon? And if they wait, say 6 months from now, the rates could be even higher than they are now. So would it be safe to say, or make a comparison to 6 months ago, they could have gotten a certain rate. And now 6 months later it's increased, and now they're talking about another increase next month. So would it be safe to say not to wait to move forward? Because the longer you wait, the more you may have to pay at an interest rate or a mortgage payment, to tell them just to go ahead and just make a decision if they qualify just to purchase. Case in point, my son waits, and now the rates are higher. Had he had moved when I suggested, he would have had a lower interest rate and lower mortgage payment. So would it be safe to encourage your clients to move forward, purchase a home now since they're qualifying for the home, as opposed to waiting for the rates to change?
Well, I would say that we encourage you to buy the home now because we don't know what the future is gonna hold.
Yeah.
These rates right now are normal, and actually they're
Yeah.
not really normal because the
It
normal.
doesn't
was
seem normal.
Right.
It doesn't seem normal, but it
These
is
rates are
normal.
normal compared
You're
to-
right.
You're not gonna see 2% anymore. You
No.
probably will not see 3% anymore. But remember, the longer you wait, taxes go up on a house. The value of homes may go up. So the same home that you could have bought for 250 or 300 is now 350 or 375.
Right.
Because those are things that affect the prices of it too. Remember, you can always refinance.
Mhm.
Once the market changes.
You can always refinance.
And bottom line is, if you're in a financial position where you can do it, even with the higher rate,
Do it.
do it.
The higher the interest rate, the
Because-
higher the tax rate.
Right. So the thing to keep in mind is you can't, once you've locked in that rate, and you bought that home, it can't go up. It can only go down for you, because at that point you can refinance to get a lower rate. So if you are financially sound and in a position to buy now, buy now. Because as they stated, with the higher interest rate, it also works for you from a tax perspective and from a tax break, right? So really, waiting doesn't mean it's going to necessarily be better. Okay, so you got to figure out what's going to be important to you and your family, and make sure that you have I would say a good realtor, a good licensed realtor to help you understand what's out there in the market, so that again, you're focusing on properties that are going to meet your whatever your monthly budget is and what you're willing to spend on a mortgage each and every month. So if you can do it now, do it now. Don't wait.
And this is a good time. I mean, people don't, it's a good time, especially springtime.
Yeah.
I mean, I specialize a lot in listings, and I can tell you that the listings are not lasting. So what's happening is, it's a good time to buy. There are buyers out there. There are buyers out there. There are qualified buyers out there. The key is to find yourself a good lender, a good lender that may have programs, down payment systems that may assist you, and to jump on it. Don't wait. Like I say, because a house that you could have bought for 300,000, you waiting in a few years might be 350. So now you kind of lost. Now you got a higher interest rate. You got a higher house. So just it's a good time to buy. And it's just like Tia said, getting with a good realtor that helps you understand the process.
And
Go ahead.
I say also rents are going up
Yes.
crazy.
Yes.
Rents are
Yes,
going
they are.
Oh my, so they're paying
higher.
a mortgage anyway.
Yeah, you're just not
Somebody
paying your
else's.
mortgage.
Somebody
So the rents are going through the roof. So all this time that you're paying $2,500 for rent, that could have been, yes, your mortgage may be $2,700, but that's you. You're building equity. You're getting the tax break. You have the house you want at the price you want. So this is a great time to buy. The rents, it's ridiculous. Some of my clients who are renters, what they're having to pay in rent. I couldn't imagine going into a rental, you're coming up with $5,000.
Some of the
And
rent
no equity.
payments are more than my mortgage.
Yeah.
And no equity.
And so if you're paying, when you go through the process of getting pre-approved through a lender, and you understand what your bottom line budget is, especially with renters, if you're paying, once they figure out those monthly numbers for you, if you're paying at least the rent amounts or less, you need to be buying.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Bottom line, you need to be buying a home. And so what that means, you gotta prepare for it. So it doesn't mean that, okay, all of a sudden I just want to buy a home. You have no money saved. So there you are going to have to come to the table with some funds, with some money including what you're doing with your lender and what you're financing through the lender. So our team always say, hey, if you have a nice Uncle Carrie that's willing to help you with your down payment, great. We love Uncle Carrie. But you also, as long as he has seasoned funds, because the lender is going to want to make sure that, they're going to verify Uncle Carrie's funds, trust me. So, really start to prepare your budget, understand how much you really bottom line want to spend on a monthly mortgage, take into consideration other things besides the mortgage. You're going to have to pay a gas bill. You're probably going to have to pay water. You're going to pay water bill. They got solar is very popular out here. So you have these utilities, these things, and insurance, all these things are part of home ownership. And then you have the maintenance piece on top of that, right? So
We don't want to scare you.
and it's not, it's a reality check. It really is a reality check.
Rewarding thing.
Mhm.
And too, if you're thinking about down payment money, you've been working for the federal government for 25 years, you can actually take money out your 401k without penalty to
Yep.
purchase a home.
Yep.
TSP.
Yeah, TSP. So there are ways to get that down payment money. And like I said, all kinds of programs. We talked about that. You'd be surprised in Waldorf how many homes would qualify for 100% financing through the USDA program. Now that you still have your closing costs, but again, there's so much money out here.
And remember, Tia, can you break down, like, there are closing costs or down payment?
We break it down.
Break it down for them.
So when you think about closing costs, there's closing costs and then there's down payment. There's two different things. Your down payment, typically if you're going to be funding or using a lender to purchase the home, they usually require about 3.5% down payment. So keep that in mind, 3.5% based on the cost of the home. So if you're looking at a $200,000 home, just keep in mind that you're going to need a down payment roughly about 3.5% of that $200,000.
Unless we can get the seller to give in to some of the concessions.
Correct.
And they're only allowed to give a certain portion.
Correct. Now, keep in mind, down payment is different than closing costs, because closing costs are the financing things that your lender does behind the scenes. As far as pulling reports, you're going to be charged for certain things like credit report pulls, title work and all those things. And then those costs are different. So those costs, I think the average right now is probably about 4%. If you're fortunate enough, especially right now with sellers, they're understanding that, hey, you know what, they may need to start offering some help with that. So you can get help with closing assistance, sometimes with programs, sometimes with the seller offering to help with some of that closing costs, and then making sure that you have a plan B if you're not, if that help is not going to be quite available for you. So again, so let's say on average total with down payment and closing assistance, you may want to average about 7% total.
And the thing about it, and remember that you have, when you start breaking your fees, some fees you can shop for when it comes to, and those are like some of the closing costs because they are associated with the lender.
Mhm.
But there are some things that, remember, when you're gonna have earnest money deposit.
Right.
We always say whatever the price of the house is, maybe about 1%, because that shows the seller how serious you are about purchasing the home. Then you're gonna have where your lender is going to ask you for the appraisal fee up front. And the reason why the lender is asking you for that up front is because back in the day, they used to collect a settlement, but if you didn't go to settlement for whatever reason, they were stuck with that fee. Then your home inspection, depending on the size of your house, depending on what, the home inspector is going to charge you. And then the termite inspection, that's kind of, sometimes you can have it so they collect that at settlement. But there are going to be, as Tia said, costs that are associated with just putting the contract on the house that you need to be aware of. I know there was some debate reference to, should you have a home inspection, should you not have a home inspection?
If the home inspection.
My thing is this, you don't know about the house. We don't know about the house. There could be some things that's going on with the house that we don't know because it looks pretty. So I always say that you should get a home inspection. Sometimes, depending on whether a contract is falling off the house or not, it may be a home inspection that was done on it. Still do your own.
I think we had a question again from Donna.
Yes. Did you have any other questions, Donna?
You kind of answered it. The closing cost of the down payment is based on the price of the
Price of
house.
Okay,
Okay.
gotcha. Okay, good. Because we just want to make sure we didn't skip over that for you. Okay, fantastic.
And that number can be overwhelming, but again, you have the programs that will help with the down payment assistance. If you're able to, if you're in a program that could cover a lot of the down payment, then your focus should be on the closing cost. And again, if you could get the seller to give some money, they are limited on what they can get. That's why you need to have a really good lender who can tell you what your options are there.
And remember, sometimes we have all done it. We're able to save you money back when off market. That we actually research, find properties that people have thought about putting on the market, but they haven't quite. So we're able to find off market product where the seller is like, oh, sure, okay, because we're saving the seller and then we're saving the buyer. So we all can be very creative is what I'm trying to tell you, and trying to find a property with your needs.
All right, good folks. So we're kind of getting close here to the end of our session. Just want to make sure, are there any questions out there that you may have before we start to do the wrap up? Any questions? Let me just take a quick peek. No, Donna, you're good. I see you. Okay. Fantastic. All right. So just to, just some quick key points to remember when you're thinking about buying a home, just make sure you understand your buying power, really take a good look at your budget and what you're willing to spend, on a monthly mortgage. Make sure you understand what your credit looks like. Okay. Also get with a good lender. A good lender should be someone who is telling you what programs are available and also communicating with you in a way that you're not left out there wondering what's going on. Also make sure that you get with a good realtor. The realtor is there. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of us. Carleton. Carleton is your main guy. So you have options. So, make sure you get with a good realtor. Really the whole purpose of the realtor is to really help negotiate your the home, the options in the purchase portion of it, as well as the listing and the buying portion of it. We're kind of helping to negotiate and also dealing with the minutia that's behind the scenes. You wouldn't believe. So again, make sure you get a good realtor who's also communicating with you. And then, get out there, start looking. Once you get your pre-approval, get out there and start looking and look at multiple homes. I'm gonna tell you, we've all seen it. Pictures look really great online, but it's nothing like going into that home and walking in and seeing it for yourself and getting that feeling that, okay, this is it, So if you have questions, anyone if on the call who has questions, you have a ton of help and resources here. Feel free to reach out to us. We are so appreciative of you taking the time to be with us this morning. Don't forget, next month, the second Saturday of the month is our next table talk. So make sure you join us. And again, we're going to have this also recorded on our YouTube channel. So you can play this over and over as much as you want. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, anyone else want to give any final messages before we sign off?
We're just happy that you joined us.
I'm sorry, I'm just being quiet because I'm surrounded by a wealth of knowledge here. But just making the decision to move forward, things will start to fall into place. You have the connection to the knowledge. So just trust the people and we're not going to tell you anything wrong. And a lot of people, it doesn't happen for them just because they won't get started. So make the decision, I'm going to do this, and then connect with the people that can help you.
Absolutely. And remember, it seems like a lot when you first get started, because just for example, you need to have at least your last 2-year tax records. You need to have your W-2s. You need to have at least your last couple of pay stubs. your last 2 months bank statements. These are things that you can start collecting now. For example, your income taxes, okay, April 15th is around the corner. So those are the documents that you're gonna need. So get them prepared because these are the things the lender is gonna ask for. And so once you start, and then you'll say, well, I already gave that to him. Okay, give it to him again. Because the process, it has a lot of paperwork that's associated with it. And being prepared is one of the things that makes it a lot easier.
All
Well
right.
said.
Well, thank you so much. Have a great rest of your weekend. See you guys next month.
Peace and
Bye.
blessings.
Bye.